الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين. Dear sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum. For the last time, at least for a while. It's truly been a pleasure for me to be part of the ceremonies in this community. I think this Muharram is a Muharram that I will remember at least for a long time. We talked about many things. We discussed it even after the talks. You came to me and we discussed many things. And we tried to have a better and more real understanding of our faith. And tonight would be the last chapter, and the story doesn't have a happy ending. I'm not sure how you would feel about this one last lecture, but I think I have the duty to talk about things that I think are important for the future of our community. You know, in some cultures, after the Ashura, the programs end, and people think they've done their job, they've mourned for 10 nights, for 10 days, and then it's over. They move on with their life till Arba'in. Some say that is not the case. It's actually on Ashura that everything starts. All the tragedies happen on Ashura. It's after the 10th day that the children of Imam Hussein are orphans. It's after the 10th day that the family of Imam Hussein are taken as captives. So a lot of people say the real mourning starts actually now. And I agree with that. And that's why, as Brother Mustafa also mentioned, the journey in a way actually has started. But as true and as that is, and as much as I agree with that, I think there's another reason, a more important reason, why a night like this, after 10 days, 11 days of mourning, is more important than all of that. And that is because now we have to sit and think, what did we achieve? We're either those people who just do things because they've been doing them, or we are people who want to achieve results from the things we do. I'm hoping that most of us are the second groups. We don't do things for no reason. We do things in order to achieve a goal. So tonight I thought maybe it's really good to sit together and have a discussion and think and evaluate what is it that we achieved. Many of you, actually all of you, put a lot of effort from your works, from your free time. You came here. The organizers, they make so much effort to make this happen. I myself have come from a different country. We've all gathered here for 10 days, 11 days, and now it's about to end, at least this chapter. Inshallah, from tomorrow another chapter will start. But now that we're closing this book, what is the result of it? What have we achieved? And I think this is a question whose answer is the most tragic musibat that you can recite for Imam Hussein. Tonight, the whole talk would be musibat. The whole night would be mourning, but one that you may not be used to. Many people, I ask them, what did you achieve? I see many proud people with their mourning filled with a sense of achievement, that alhamdulillah, we managed to mourn for 11 days, for 10 days, and that is amazing. And I asked them, so what is the achievement? What is this achievement that you are proud of, or that you did all of these efforts for? Some say that we managed to raise the banner of Imam Hussein. We commemorated throughout the world the name of Imam Hussein is revived. The name of Imam Hussein is mentioned throughout the world, at least in our communities, and that is great. That is our achievement. And you see this maybe in your heart, or maybe on your Facebook wall, or even on TV. I was just seeing a news channel, and the representative was saying that, alhamdulillah, thousands of people have gathered to raise the banner of Imam Hussein. And that is a good answer, alhamdulillah. We should all be proud that the name of Imam Hussein is being mentioned throughout the world. Some other people say our achievement is that we feel better. I was just yesterday having a discussion with a brother, and he said, after these programs, I feel better. I feel more spiritual. That's my achievement. This is another good result, achievement. But let's see, and let's take a closer look at both of this. When we say our achievement from this whole process of Ashura, of Karbala, of mourning, is that we have raised the name of Imam Hussein, and we feel better spiritually. What we are actually saying is that Imam Hussein, on that point of history, had two decisions. One was what? To live, go and continue his life, and that way Hazrat Abbas would be alive, Hazrat Ali Akbar would be alive, Lady Zainab would never be taken as captive. So that was one option. But in that option, if Imam had lived, then we wouldn't have these achievements that we have now. We couldn't, his name wouldn't be raised throughout the world. Or we wouldn't have all of these mournings. He wouldn't be remembered. And also we wouldn't have this feeling of spirituality that we have, this good feeling that we have in the programs. It's because of that decision. Okay, fair enough. But if you want to look closer at this, this means that Imam Hussein alayhi salam had two options: to live or to be remembered. And he went for being remembered. This is basically the logical consequence of what we say. That Imam Hussein had two options: to live or to be remembered. And I would ask you, what is the significance of this? Can you really say that about your Imam? That he sacrificed himself, and not just himself, great individuals such as Hazrat Abbas, such as Hazrat Ali Akbar, in order to be remembered? Well, you would say it's not just that. We also feel spiritual. We feel closer to God. Then I would ask you another question. This closeness that you feel to God, this emotional feeling that you have, is it worth the life of Hazrat Abbas? Are we really arrogant enough to feel that this emotional feeling that we have, and often it's temporary for a while, is so significant that was worth the life of someone like Ali Akbar, someone like Imam Hussein? Because this is the consequence of what you were telling me. That what we have achieved, what all of this means is that we have raised the name of Imam Hussein and we feel better. So you're saying that Imam Hussein did that in order for these achievements. But is that something that you can accept about your Imam? Now you might say, well, you're getting it wrong. That's not it. Imam chose between dignity and life. It was between putting hand in the hand of an oppressor and life. And Imam chose dignity. Imam chose justice. That's a very good answer. But I will tell you, when I was asking you, how do you evaluate what you have achieved? This is not what you told me. When you were evaluating the success of these 10 nights, is this the criteria you were judging it with? All these people on Facebook, in news channels, in our community, who think that the thousands of numbers in the program, or that the name is mentioned here and there, well, this has nothing to do with what you're saying now. The way you were evaluating was based on numbers, based on the times that the name was mentioned. And now you're telling me that the goal is something else. The reason Imam Hussein did that was that he didn't want to be with the oppressor. So first of all, I would say, okay, that's a good answer. But two things. What are you proud of? What have you achieved? If the goal was to not be on the side of the oppressor, well, the goal was achieved all those centuries ago. What are you doing right now? What are you achieving? The goal was to choose dignity. Well, Imam Hussein achieved the goal. What is all the fuss about now? Why are we spending all this time? Isn't the goal already achieved? Then you might say, well, it's more than that. That was the goal, but that also provides me with motivation so that in my life I can do the same. Imam chose dignity over life. Imam chose justice over life. So that also gives me motivation to do the same. So I will tell you something, that this is not what you told me in the first place. You're changing it now. I like this answer. But is this really how we think about our ceremonies, our programs? At the end of the program, do we sit and think how much more motivated are we now to go towards justice? If this is not what we do, then we're not being consistent. We're saying the goal is something else, and we're proud of something else. We're proud of the numbers. We're proud of the times the flag is raised, but at the same time we're saying is that the goal is to provide motivation to stand against injustice. I'm asking you, isn't the logical consequence of that after Muharram we should all sit down and see how much are we more motivated now to stand against injustice? Isn't that the natural consequence of that, the logical? And you would say, well, I mean, if you had insaf, if you had fairness, I think you would agree. And then I would also say that none of this is to undermine the numbers. None of this is to undermine the great spiritual feeling that we feel. Those are all amazing. But we should know that those are the results. They're not the goals. It's like a person who becomes a doctor in order to save lives. But as a result of that, he will probably earn a lot of money. But then if you ask him, why are you saving lives? And he ends up giving you the answer for the money, after a while you'll doubt it. Where is the saving life thing? Don't you feel that we're focusing too much on the result and we've forgotten about the goal? And now, please recite the salawat. This was the good bit. What I'm going to say from here, it would be even worse. But I think I have a duty. I think Imam Hussein is more alone than any time in history. Imam Hussein has all these people, us, who we say were his followers, who we recite, Hal min Nasirin Yansurna, is there anyone to help me? And we say we are. But if someone asks us, in what way are we helping the Imam? We wouldn't know what to say. But at the same time, we also want to spread the message. Right now, in communities, we have sincere people, amazing people, people with genuine love for Imam Hussein, who go out in the streets spreading leaflets. If you look at the leaflet, it says, they give it to non-Muslims. On the leaflet it says, Imam Hussein is the person who stood for justice, who went against the oppressor, who was the grandson of the Prophet, this, and then he was martyred. And what do you expect the reaction of the person who receives that leaflet to be? We're saying that, we know sometimes we're so proud as soon as we see that we have spoken to someone about Imam Hussein. We're so proud. But what are we trying to achieve? Is it to spread Imam Hussein's message? Well, has that message been applied in our own lives? We haven't even achieved it here, and now we want to go and spread it. So if a person receives that leaflet and tells you that, okay, alhamdulillah, this person was an amazing human being, stood against injustice, but I've been fighting injustice my whole life. That's great. You have someone in your faith that stood against injustice. But we've been standing against injustice all our lives. See what we're doing. We're an activist. We're this and we're that, and we don't even have a faith. And by the way, what are you doing? What would you say? What would we say? We try to spread the message of Imam Hussein without even having understood it, without even having applied it ourselves. But this is okay. If we knew we're doing this, we're proud, we think we've nailed it. Most of us in the community, we feel like we're doing Imam Hussein a favor. Like now Imam Hussein is happy. Is he? This is the sad part. This is the worst musibat of Ashura. That after 14 centuries, people come and say, yes, we have someone who stood against injustice. Sometimes I tell my friends, this is like, if someone comes and tell you the way towards God is kindness, and say, mashallah, that's beautiful, kindness. And then for the rest of our life, we sit together and say, the way toward God is kindness. The way towards God is kindness. And then after we say this for 70 times or 80 times, we go about our lives and we're not even kind. So every year we come together and we say this is the reason. Imam Hussein stood against injustice, and we feel like, yeah, that's it. Now let's go live our life. What really breaks the heart is that even after this, we feel like, alhamdulillah, Imam Hussein is no longer alone. Don't we say this honestly? That you're no longer gharib, come and see what we're doing for you. And it just breaks the heart. When do we want to wake up? When do we want to realize we're not doing anything? Of course, there are exceptions. There are people in the community who are doing great work. And again, none of this is to undermine how we feel, the programs. It's not that this is bad. We're saying there should be much more. This is amazing. Without this, we would even be worse off. This is great, but there should be much more. It's like we're remaining in level 1. But still we have the arrogance and ignorance to feel like we've achieved something so special that we can change the world with. We feel like with one leaflet or one banner on the wall, we've spread the message. If someone asks you, you're claiming you have something so special, what is it? What does it boil down to? To stand against injustice? Well, we knew this. This is what all the fuss is about. Welcome to the party of human beings. We've been like this for years. Welcome. You joined us now. What would you say? How would you defend yourself? What is the actual message there? Wouldn't that person have a point? But we don't get these things. We're so proud of what we're doing. And this takes me to the second point now. That now I think we have two responsibilities. We have to wake up. We can't stay in this and feel proud of ourselves and feel like we're doing the great things. And in Quran it says the people who would be the saddest, the most upset on the day of judgment are those who think they were doing good while they were not. We think we've nailed it. We're on the army of Imam Hussein. We're on the army of justice. Honestly, isn't this unfair to people at that time? For them, being with justice was to leave their wives and family and go and fight. For us, is to come here and mourn for 1 hour, have dinner and go home. How is this fair? How is this the same as that? How do we think that we are in the army of Imam Hussein too? Those guys lost their lives for justice. We're having biryani and a talk. I mean, honestly, my talks are boring. But how difficult is it to stand it? That you think just because listening to me for 1 hour, you're in the army of justice now? So there are two things that we should do, I think, if we are really to wake up, if we are really to stop flattering ourselves. Sometimes I feel like our community is becoming like a person who keeps liking his own post on Facebook. We do things that make ourselves happy. And it's very difficult to say this because you would be the messenger who's bringing the bad news. But someone has to do it. I swear on all that I know that if Imam Hussein was here today, he would still feel alone. This is my firm belief. That despite all we're doing, Imam Hussein is still alone. So now we have two duties, two responsibilities. Let's unlike our post on Facebook and be real. Let's start to practice the message. But in order to do that, first we have to accept our ignorance. We have to accept that Imam Hussein is more than a leaflet. If all you know about Imam Hussein is what's written on that leaflet, that's not enough. If all you know about Imam Hussein is what happened in these 10 days, that can do nothing for you in your life. Of course, spiritually you'd feel better, alhamdulillah. That's great. Again, I'm saying we're not undermining that. But if your knowledge of your Imam boils down to one leaflet, how can you go and spread the message? What are you spreading? Someone you don't know? We just love this person and his name. But what do we know about his life? Tell me 12 hadiths from Imam Hussein. Can anyone do that? All of us were trying to spread the message. 12 hadiths from Imam Hussein. And stuff not mentioned in those 10 days. If you can't, then wake up. You're spreading a name. You're spreading a layer. There's nothing behind it, even for you. So the first responsibility we have is to wake up and go and learn about this individual. See what is it that he stood for and try to implement that in our life. Try to really make a difference. So that's the second, the first thing. Please recite the salawat. So now, I'm hoping some of us have woken up. We no longer live in the dream and the fantasy that Imam Hussein is not alone. Because he is. Once the fantasy is broken, you gotta get real. You got to follow the message. You know, great blood has been shed. Hazrat Abbas, Ali Akbar, Imam Hussein. For what? If we don't follow them. So now we have to get real. We have to think as a community, as individuals. We have to try and stand really for what the Imam stood for. But this is not easy. It's not just with getting banners. It's really about going out in the world and seeing what mission is undone. Go, roll up your sleeves and take it. Each of us, we have to see what injustice are we fighting against. What good cause are we working towards? If we're not, at least let us not claim that we're followers of Imam Hussein. Let's leave his name clean and pure so that maybe later on people would come and take the name and do good things with it. Or let's find a good cause. Now when you want to do this, we step into a different reality. Now when you want to actually imply the message of Imam Hussein, it's not as easy as we think. It's not like I bring someone and take picture with the name of Imam Hussein and think there's a new chapter in history. It's not as easy as that. It's a work that takes years. All this time that we've been mourning, people have been trying to fight injustice. Don't think just by one day we can achieve it. No. This is our ongoing battle to spread peace, to spread justice. And it's very important to, first of all, let go of, or at least not be proud of, superficial achievements. You are not fighting against injustice if you convince someone, a non-Muslim, to say the name of Imam Hussein. That is amazing. But that's a very small achievement. Saying the name, at best, that person will become like us, right? At best, that person will be like us. What are we achieving? But now we're so happy with these things. If there's a blonde non-Muslim who talks about Imam Hussein, we feel like, Alhamdulillah, Imam Hussein, the message spread around the world. Really? Just because a non-Muslim is talking about Imam Hussein, that's it? Sometimes I read these things and I'm so shocked. The person says they've had one program in Muharram. He goes around the world giving interviews that we have spread the message of Imam Hussein in the world. Bro, forget about that blonde that you keep interviewing and tell me how many of these non-Muslims know about Imam Hussein. We go and do a march, which is great. I'm not saying that is bad. I'm not undermining that. That is great. But we should know these are first steps. If this becomes something that we're so proud of, we feel like we've achieved it, we're not going to get anywhere. So I see we go and we march in the name of Imam Hussein in a European country in Arabic. Well, the people who listen to you in Arabic and understand you in Arabic, they already believe in Imam Hussein. If you're going in the streets to give a march and you do it in Arabic, then all of you who already loved Imam Hussein will love him more and go back home. Well, you could do that at your home. If you want to spread, why Arabic? And so this is very important. You know, it's sometimes being real with people makes you really hate it. Like they hate you if you're real with them. They feel like you don't care. You know, it's not that I don't care. It's that I want you to know you're doing that march for a reason, not to feel good. What is the practical outcome of that? I'm sure it has some good outcomes, right? I'm not undermining it. But I'm saying let's be real. We have so many great scientists, so many great scholars in the community. Come and do an evaluation after the march. A very simple thing is that go to people, the non-Muslims, in that street, for example, that you did the march. After everyone's gone, go to them and ask, so were you aware of what happened here? How do you feel about it? In what way did it change your mind? Did it have any impact on you? They were saying this name, Hussein. Do you remember that? Has it made you interested in going and learning about his life? If they say yes, then mashallah. If not, then see how can you change it to get an impact. You know, sometimes our efforts for the truth is only to feel good. We don't care about what we're achieving in the real world, the practical steps, the practical results. There's so much Islamophobia in the world, right? Each of us, what do we do after something happens? Of course, there are great people in the community who are doing great, genuine work. I know a few of them in London. Amazing people, 24/7, their concern is to fight this in a very practical, real manner. But many of us, what we're doing is that we go on Facebook and rant. What does that achieve? If you go and rant that this is happening, that is happening, the only outcome is that you're empty, you feel better. But if you say this to people, they'll be like, what, you don't care about Islamophobia? I'm saying, for how many years are we going to rant and feel like victims? When are we going to stop and see what is the practical thing we can do to reduce it? And this is with a lot of things. We just talk about them. There are certain conflicts in the world right now, right? So many people think working towards justice, fighting injustice, is to get loud and have a voice in this conflict. Now, if you ask them, for 10 years you've been loud. For 10 years you protested, you were loud. You made it clear which side you are on. Tell me, after these 10 years, what are the practical, the real results that your voice achieved for people you're claiming to want to support? I'm sure you have had certain achievements, but 10 years of effort for that, isn't there a different way, a more strategic way to achieve the goals you have in mind? Are there people in our community who even care about strategy? Or is it just that come, go on the pulpit, shout, and say that these people are the Shemr of Zaman, Yazid of Zaman, we all feel good, we're supporting people, oppressed people. What are we achieving? So I think what is very important is to realize that certain things are sacred and holy, like our ceremonies, Imam Hussein, the fact that Imam Hussein is our Imam. These things are holy and we cannot disagree on them. Or at least we wouldn't have this identity of a Shia. So it's up to here that Imam Hussein is our Imam, that Imam Hussein stood for injustice, that we should do the same. Up to here, these are holy things that if we are Shias, we cannot disagree with. But from here onwards, that our action starts on how are we going to fight injustice in the world, none of this is holy. In the sense that we have to sit and think and find the best way. Just because you have a way doesn't mean the others are on the side of Yazid. Maybe they have a strategy that is different to yours. These are not holy things. There is no hadith that tells in the year 2017 how to stand against oppression. There is no such a hadith. But there is this people in the community going on around the world saying it's only our majlis that's spreading the message, that's fighting for justice. If you have foresight, if you try to achieve a greater result in future, not just a short outcome that makes you happy, they start judging you. If you want to sit with them and talk to them, that I care what you want, but let's see what is the best way to achieve there. Let's sit down and talk strategies. They judge you, they label you. Oh, you don't care about these people. I'm saying you cared and I cared too. Your method, all these years, what did it achieve? Maybe there's another method that can achieve more. There's nothing holy about the method. The only holy thing is to fight against injustice, is to fight against oppression. But are there honestly people in our community who are thinking about these things? Alhamdulillah. All of us should. We should all come, sit together, think, discuss, take strategies. How are we going to improve the situation of Muslims? Not in 10 years, not right now. in 3 generations, long after we're done or we're dead. What seeds can we plant that in 50 years, 60 years, it will improve the situation? So rant on your Facebook, and while you're empty, let's sit down and think. Because all that achieves is making you feel good. Please recite the salawat. What I feel is that we lack depth. Is that we are, and I'm not saying everyone, definitely there are people in the community who are doing a great job, and it's really not to undermine. None of this is to undermine anything, you know. Any sincere act is to be appreciated, definitely. I love everyone who mentions the name of Imam Hussein, who works for the name of Imam Hussein. We love all of them. Imam Hussein loves all of them. We'll appreciate them. But we're talking serious things. How can we make it more effective? So now, for example, let me give you one practical example of what I mean. We're all upset with certain things that, for example, a certain president in one big country does. Do you think that if you, in your member, talk about it and say, and give the news to people, because this is what people are actually doing this Muharram. In the member, in the majlis, what they do is that they come and sit and say, yes, this president, this is what he's doing, this is the money he's getting from that country is evil, this country is evil, alhamdulillah, we fight injustice. This is so superficial. This is feeling good. This is what a journalist should do, not you, sheikh. You should give vision to them. Okay, so that's going on. Everyone knows in the world. Read news for 1 hour, you know all of that. What are you trying to do to stop that? What is the community doing to stop that? Are we promoting people to go and become journalists? We're all proud of Mehdi Hassan, the Shia journalist. But are we really trying to think about in 10 years, in 20 years, who would be our next Mehdi Hassan? Are we trying to think that? Or no, we just say this president is bad, that country is giving money, evil, okay. But this is the first step. What's your strategy? What do you want to do after that? That doesn't require any intellect or any scholar. That's not fighting against injustice. That is just informing people that injustice is going on in the world. If we want to fight injustice, we need to study. We need to educate ourselves. We need to become businessmen. We need to become journalists. We need to become media owners. We need to have great scholars of religion. We need psychologists. We need sociologists. This is fighting against injustice in a real world. Not in a world that you want to do things to feel good and then your community would clap for you. This is fighting injustice in a world that you don't care how many likes you're going to get on Facebook, because it's so easy to get likes on Facebook. I don't know what's all this fuss we have about certain things. Some person rants and we're proud. Some person takes a picture and we're proud. And then I come and ask people on my page, what book are you reading? And they give me the answers which breaks the heart. 40 hadiths of Imam Khomeini, this person has been reading it for 10 years. Bro, you should have finished it long ago. Go to the next book, go to the next book. Anytime I ask this question, there are these people, and I'm not judging them, I love you, honestly I love you. But if you want to fight against injustice, it's difficult, you have to read books. How long does it take to read All these Shia Sunni books that we love to read them and move on. I'm not saying don't read those, but honestly, it takes one summer and you can read the whole thing. How many times do you want to watch the Sunni Shia debates? Okay, everyone's Shia now. What are we doing? What's the next level? You know, if the whole world is like you, what's the good of that? Like, what good thing are you doing for the world that you want everyone to be like you? So it's difficult. It needs practice. But the first level is to know that we're so behind. So long as we feel proud that we've achieved it, we'll not do anything. It's only when we realize that Imam Hussein is literally alone. Like tonight, I'm not going to be reciting Musibat. Because what Musibat is worse than this? That his family were sacrificed, his children were taken as captives, and after 14 centuries, we're superficial like this. And again, not all of us, some of us. So we should get real. Everyone should do as much as they can. It's a very difficult thing, and we shouldn't judge each other. Don't think just because the cause you've chosen is different from the cause I have chosen, you're better than me, then I don't care about that cause. Don't think just because you're loud, you're interviewing here and there, that I don't care. So, I think the call of Imam Hussein for help is stronger than ever. There's this person who gave us something, and for 14 centuries we come, we sit and talk about it and not use it. And these are all difficult things to talk about. You know, the worst thing is to talk about our own shortcomings. It's very easy to see this documentary on this TV channel that someone is now talking about Imam Hussein and feel proud. The message is spread. But it's not. No one in the world, apart from these few people you interview, knows about Imam Hussein. We haven't done enough. And when we want to show what is it you're trying to say, when you still don't know about Imam Hussein, when you still don't know 10 hadith from him, who do you want to introduce? After the second question that person asks you, what are you going to say? Okay, tell me more about Imam Hussein. You would be stuck. Stop and read. Read his life. Join a cause. Get real. Don't judge others. And together, let's do this. So at least a few of us here, right? Those of you who feel me, who feel the pain, honestly, this is musibah. I feel lonely. I feel heartbroken. It's like everyone's living in this fantasy. But one day we'll be woken up if we don't wake ourselves up. So those of you who feel me, let's start, at least amongst ourselves. Let's educate ourselves about Imam Hussein, about the way we can promote justice in this world. Let's communicate. Let's not allow people to live in their fantasy. Let's wake other people up. Let's spread Imam Hussein's call. The call is still as loud as it was on that day. Is there any helper to help me? So, if at least a few of you, one of you, two of you, even one person, honestly, feels my pain, please let us do our best and say labbaik to our Imam. And saying labbaik to the Imam is not just gathering in a ceremony. Imam didn't let his Abbas die for you to go in a ceremony and say labbaik. Do you think Abbas was that insignificant? How dare you? How dare you post on Facebook that now we are all behind you? And again, I'm saying I love you, but wake up. I'm not undermining your sincerity. I love you, I love whoever loves Imam Hussein. But let's get real. And by that, I would like to end. Thank you so much for listening to me all these nights. I know some of you may be upset, some of you may feel quite mad. I understand that, I respect that. This was my duty. And I hope after tonight, we go home and we actually sit and think, what exactly have we achieved? What exactly are we going to do in our life? That if Imam Hussein asks us in the day of judgment, apart from the mourning, what have we achieved? And again, I'm saying none of that is to undermine these sessions, because if it wasn't for these sessions, I couldn't connect to you. We couldn't be talking about this. These sessions are a great opportunity for us to communicate, but we should make the most out of them. If someone comes and talks to you about superficial things, don't accept it. Challenge them. Challenge the scholars. Raise your expectations. These sessions are so precious, we should make the most out of them. If someone comes to you and starts talking about something superficial that has no value in your life, challenge them with respect, with love, without judgment, but say, Habibi, Baradar, what are you talking about? Give me real life lessons. Show me what Imam Hussein wants from me today. Raise your expectations. Let's make the most out of these sessions. These sessions are amazing. These sessions is our way to educate ourselves. It is true that these sessions have kept us alive with energy, but it's only if we use them to educate ourselves. If all this session does is to make us feel good, emotional, go home, nothing's changed, we're disrespecting the session. We're disrespecting Imam Hussein, we're disrespecting mourning. And my only prayer is that may Allah not put us among those who disrespect these sessions. And disrespecting these sessions is not by shaking someone's hand after prayer. Disrespecting these sessions is not by what you wear, by how you mourn. Disrespecting these sessions is to live in a way that has nothing to do with what you talk about in these sessions. And honestly, I'll have to start from myself. I don't feel like I'm doing anything in my life that is worthy of saying, I am saying labbaik to Imam Hussein. If you feel you are doing, then you're either extremely arrogant, or mashallah, you're doing something amazing and we should have all seen the result. And again, I'm sure there are so many people in the community who are actually trying, making sacrifices in their life. Sacrifices. Coming to a session is not sacrifice, at least for many of us. What sacrifice are you making for the truth? For God? And a sacrifice that actually has, outcomes. Because again, that's another problem. I can rant on and on. Some people think just sacrificing is enough, but sacrifice for truth should reach the truth. Sacrifice for justice should reach to justice, to peace. If you've been doing and pursuing a method for 10 years, you should tell me what are 3 outcomes of this sacrifice of yours. Just because you made a sacrifice doesn't make it valuable. You have to see what are the outcomes. And if someone asks you about the outcome, they're not undermining your effort. They're helping you. So I hope that God helps us to be real, at least us. You know, even this amount of people can change world. We can educate ourselves, we can spread the message, we can work together, help each other, and then maybe after a few generations, then we can say people know about Imam Hussein. It's not one picture, brother. No chapter in history has been achieved. It's not in one day, it's the effort of years. No one can be convinced in one day. You cannot speak to the world in one day. You cannot speak to your own community. Your own community doesn't know the message. You want to go and spread it to the world? So may Allah help us and make us real, make us honest. It's difficult to self-criticize. There's so much pain with it. But we need to get over this initial pain, but it's sweet. The first step is waking up. The first step is being real, that for peace to happen, for justice to happen, for good things to happen in this world, in order to prepare the world for the eternal peace, we should work hard and we should be real. Thank you so much for all these nights of tolerating me, of bearing me. If I've disrespected you, I am sorry. And let's recite the final salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.